Ballers! What's going on? It's Preacher. It's the Daily Preach. And a brofist to you guys. I've really hurt myself. I slapped my hands and stuff. I am late. I'm sorry, I'm 16 minutes late. It has been one hell of a day. This was a sort of Gamescom preparation day for me in terms of making sure we had things like equipment. Not only that, I was raiding till 3 o'clock in the morning. What a slog that was. Blizzard, what the hell were you thinking? For the Russian members of our guild, the final boss didn't actually start until 5 AM for that guy. And then we raided for another... luckily it turned out the last boss was incredibly easy. Sulong was ridiculously easy on 25-man normal, so we killed it on the first try. Well, we didn't kill it, we then wiped on purpose, and then we got the rest of the guys in and killed it again. So we were done in around about 20 minutes. So that raiding finished for 20 past 5 for him, and about 20 past 2, 20 past 3 for me. And then, of course, it takes an hour or so to go to sleep. And we've been raiding since about 7 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh my god, what a long-ass raid. Really was bring back to reality of what classic raiding used to be like, and the sort of hours I used to put in. But not only that, I then slept till around about 7 AM when the dogs woke me up. Yes, both dogs dived on my head. We also returned the other dog today. That's been a full week. That's gone really fast. And then I went into Gamescom stuff. I'm after a laptop. I'm trying to speak to businesses to give me a laptop to take with us to Gamescom, capable of video editing. We need that, so we can get footage out to you guys while we're in Germany. It's only 2 weeks away. I've been speaking to various hardware suppliers. Can we get a laptop? We'll return it afterwards. We don't care. So I was doing a lot of that stuff today. Never mind. I'm going to go to another meeting after this, which means I have a small penis and I'll be working very late again. On with the show. Now, I am slightly unprepared for this, but that's okay because Blizzard tends to make life very easy for me. But it means I'm going to do a lot more sort of question stuff with you guys. Oh, do you like the trainer? This is my Ben protection kit. Have you seen what Ben has done to my laces? That is all that's left. Look at that. Look at that shit. That's all that's left of my laces. Just a knot to keep them together. Thank you, Ben, for that. Very, very helpful. Doesn't smell. I didn't even notice it was there. That's a sign of a good trader. Blizzard's been going on again about the journey. Do you kind of regret me making that video? I kind of do. I don't really. It kind of earned me a lot of revenue, which is a good thing, I suppose. But still, this just doesn't seem to be going away. And I'm not doing anything to push it along. I'm really not. But Blizzard's come out with a few sort of otherworldly answers, which makes me question, sort of reiterates that Mr. Pandaria will probably be the last expansion for me. And we'll be moving into something else in about 6 months' time, I would have thought, depending on how Mr. Pandaria progresses. A couple of worries about Mr. Pandaria. I suppose I should address that statement, because obviously the expansion will last longer than 6 months. But there are a couple of things that do worry me. Overall, the gameplay is pretty fine. Warriors have been nerfed immensely. Warriors, we had a really bad time. There are 3 DPS warriors in Method. There's Deke, there's Zamos, and there's myself. And we didn't have a particularly great night last night. Considering we were raiding for 8 or so hours, we didn't enjoy that experience a great deal. Our damage has been heavily nerfed, single target. We seem to have maybe been balanced around the fact that we have permanent sweeping strikes. And this seems to have happened to the combat rogues as well. They have permanent blade flurry, obviously. So when we were able to cleave, we weren't too bad. We were actually just competitive with the other classes, which was worrying me. It was one of the first things I said after the first boss, which was the Stone Guard. We did the Stone Guard 25, man. A relatively cool boss. Like, a lot of mechanics going on. Don't worry, I frapsed all this stuff. You're going to get a ton of videos with all the raid bosses and stuff like that. But I was like... I whispered Deke, because what happened, this is the way it worked. Let me simplify it for you. The rules at the beginning were laid down by the officers, such as Kuznam, is that trials will stay in for every single try, so they can test what we're like on progress. Brilliant decision, sort of expected it. And the members will rotate in and out so everybody gets to see the boss. So essentially me and about 6 other trials would be permanently in every 25-man pull we would do that night for the full 8 hours, and the members would rotate in and out just so they could get an idea of the boss. Perfect. So after the first boss, Deco was in with me first, and Deke then stepped out for Zamos. And then when we killed that boss, we killed every boss, I think, or got so close to where we purposely wiped it to show other people. And then Zamos came in. I speak more with Deke than Zamos. Zamos is cool, but I speak more with Deke. And I whispered him after to say, I'm a little bit worried that with permanent sweeping strikes going on, that I'm not smashing the DPS to pieces. In fact, arcane mages are above me, who are a very single target focused spec, okay? They were still above me. We had a couple of excuses in the Stone Guard. One is there's some ridiculously anti-melee debuffs going on in that fight. Oh, Blizz, what the fuck were you thinking with the Stone Guard debuffs? Really? Chains that chained a melee to a ranged? That means that the ranged and the melee have to separate. You literally have to come out. There's pools of toxic slime spawning constantly. So the melee are really in serious bunched up positions. We were DPSing from the front of the boss for a majority of the fight. All sorts of stuff like that. So on very regular occasions, melee, such as myself, would get this debuff. I would then need to heroic leap away from doing DPS and stand somewhere in the middle of the room to meet a ranged person, and then we'd stand next to each other. And if you were unlucky enough to get a healer, my god, you were actually running around following the healer around. It was just a little bit chaotic for the first couple of pulls. So overall, it wasn't a very melee-friendly fight at all. If not the worst so far in Mr. Pandaria. The Stone Guard is so melee-unfriendly. But we weren't smashing the meters, although we were permanently able to cleave two mobs together, which in the 10-man, I was doing sort of average 160k, 150k sustained DPS doing that. I was like in good shape. Now we were down to around 90, 100k. Well, the arcane mages were doing single target 100k. The hunters are in great shape right now. Hunters are in brilliant shape. If you're a hunter, you're looking good. You're probably going to get nerfed soon. But the single target classes were substantially very close to us anyway. So I whispered Dika and said, I'm a little bit worried about our damage single target, because with permanent cleave, we're actually not way ahead, which is what we should be. And the next three bosses were single target bosses. We were so bad. Oh my god, we were atrocious. Really, really bad. Oh, it was horrendous. It was the worst experience ever. Deke even raged at one point. It was like, fuck this class, I'm fucking out of here. I'm just going to wait outside. You might as well bring anybody other than a warrior to this fight. We're in such a bad shape. And he was right. We were averaging around 50k DPS. Hunters, 80k single target DPS. Mages the same. Our Shadow Priests were down with us as well, which is pretty cool. And Resto Shaman, as tradition dictates, Resto Shaman are looking really bad for the beginning of Mr. Pandaria. That is what... It just always is that way. And Barrel Roll, who is our Resto Shaman, was getting a lot of stick last night from the other heaters. I kept everyone asking him if he was AFK for that fight. What the hell were you doing? It was kind of funny. It was kind of funny. But yeah, there's some classes that in the 25-man setting are so far behind, and Warriors are one of them. So it wasn't a great night overall. But other than that, not bad bosses. Quite enjoyable. Killed most of them. And the other ones we didn't kill, we wiped on purpose to test them out. So overall, a great night. But Blizzard has come and made a comment about the content difficulty and consumption speed. Now, obviously, I made the video about the journey. Blizzard doesn't seem to want to recognize it. I'm sure Blizzard knows what everybody's talking about. What they don't want to do is alienate the player base. I always have an itchy nose when I start this. They've come out and said there's good reason to go back and do old content. The players are obviously saying there is no reason to go and do old content. There really isn't. Blackwing Descent, Throne of the Four Winds, Twilight Citadel, hell, even Firelands. Besides the legendary staff, there isn't a great deal of reason to go back there. Blizzard disagrees. They openly disagree with you. They say, reforging. Reforging? Really? Do you think that's a good reason to go back and do the old content? Reforging for stuff that's one tier behind? And there's a huge post on MMO Champion today about this subject, concerning that, yeah, you can go back and do whatever you want. And it's like, it's as if someone's holding a fingernail and going, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. It's still really annoying because they're clearly just annoying the fuck out of you. And Blizzard's openly saying, hey, we're not saying don't go and do the old dungeons. They're still there. Go and do them if you want. But what's the fucking point? Heroics give better gear. What is the point? There is no motivation to go and do that. And you cannot rely on transmogging. You just cannot rely on transmogging to push a whole player base through old dungeons that you've spent time and effort to create. That is just not a legitimate answer. And we know it. They know it. It's really a sort of blasé, fluffy answer. And I'm quite angry about it. I really am. That they're giving these kind of answers out like that is a good answer. That is a sufficient answer. Instead of saying something like, hey, we know. We're aware that this isn't a great reason to do it. Sure, there are a couple of reasons. There's achievements, there's transmog runs, there's things like that. There's reason to go there. But it's a stretch because that only applies to very limited sources of the player base. I'm really interested in why they decided to take this sort of fluffy approach to the answers. It kind of bothers me a little bit. The other bit of news I wanted to speak about before I take some questions is Star Wars The Old Republic. I read this news quite a while ago. Some of you know we tried Star Wars The Old Republic. We did. We tried Star Wars The Old Republic. And it had its problems. I'm not going to say anything about content because of the rage that it starts on the YouTube channel. But I do want to say is that EA stated in BioWare that if they had 500,000 subscribers, then they were happy. The game would be in profit. And today it broke below, or yesterday it went below 1 million. They're changing the whole payment offer. This is another example of where the player base says something, and I don't think you should believe them. Happens all the time in WoW. You should not believe most of what is posted on the forums. Oh my god, I got one shot by some warrior. Yeah, but you probably were wearing little resilience, or he had some sort of stupid buff. He was probably flashed to the teeth, full PvE gear. All sorts of crazy things could have been going on to create that situation. So Star Wars The Republic is not going free to play. It's going sort of pay premium. What they've decided to do is if you continue to pay your subscription, you'll become a premium player. Oh yeah, get a big badge, a big awesomeness. And being a premium player, you're going to get access to various extras such as free money, or they call it infusions of in-game currency. They're just going to give you money, which takes out part of the aspects of the game. That just removes it completely. In-game currency which can be used for boosts. Boost, customization, and for moving more quickly through each level. Is that worth $15 a month? Maybe. Maybe. When I say in-game currency, I don't necessarily mean credits. I don't necessarily mean credits. They're saying things like you can boost characters, you can level alts much quicker. Do we want to level alts much quicker in Star Wars The Old Republic? That's the question I'm putting to you right now. Looking at this, do we want to level alts quicker in Star Wars The Old Republic? Star Wars The Old Republic's entire appeal to me is the leveling process. The leveling process is amazing. It's so good. Now you're going to make that faster? We're going to skip parts of that? That doesn't sit well with me from someone who played it a little bit. A more advanced player might have a different opinion on it. For me, this seems very counterintuitive to what the good part of the game is for me. For what I recognise as the good part, as the bit that I was raving about. You check some of my old videos on Star Wars The Old Republic, I was like, dude, Star Wars The Old Republic makes WoW leveling look like you're smashing your face against a wall constantly. It really does. It's a fantastic leveling experience. It's the best I have ever seen. Easily, without question, Star Wars The Old Republic is the best leveling I've ever seen. Now if I pay for the game, I actually reduce that leveling experience. Not sure about that one. The second tier is a free-to-play option, which allows consumers to experience the first 50 levels at no charge. So you do get the free-to-play option, but with some restrictions on content and advanced player features. Don't like this either, really don't. Upgrades to the experience can be purchased with in-game currency. Players will move at their own speed and comfort level. If you're getting free credits, this is like the old race of why do you beta test if you don't like it. Nobody likes beta testing in World of Warcraft. I fucking hate it. The guild hates it. But we have to do it to stay competitive. It's okay that some smart ass on a forum goes, hey, you don't have to do it. It's your choice. Just like the 30% buff. You don't have to take it. You can switch it off. Yeah, but you're just gimping yourself. Why don't you go into a race and tie your shoelaces together for the same reason? You fucking dickwit. It's just stupid. So if we're going to get all this insane currency because we're paying for the membership and we're not going to use it, we're just going to be like, no, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stick it to my morals and play it correctly. No, of course not. It's just a waste of your money then. What are you actually paying for if you're not using these in-game boosts? Very counterintuitive. Very counterintuitive. Don't like that. If and when they are ready, they can easily switch to the premium tier. Now, there's a clever thing going on here. It's a relatively clever thing. On the face of it, it looks bad. But what they're saying is, hey, we're confident from all the reviews that our first 50 levels are fucking awesome. Come and do them for free. And then pay us. You might not like what you get. You might not. But we know pretty much we're going to get some money out of the guys who do the first 50 levels because those first 50 levels are fucking amazing. They're really good. But then you're going to pay afterwards and maybe you're going to be a little disappointed. EA's added more content to Star Wars The Republic. I personally have no interest in trying it. I really do not. I never even capped my character. I was like 46 or something like that. And my friends had all cleared the hard modes because I was taking it easy. We created a guild, the Council of Ballers. We were all taking it easy. And my friends were like, dude, there's just nothing here. It's so bad. And I was like, if I've got nothing to strive for, I'm not playing. I'm really not. I did compare it to Wrath of the Lich King in one of the YouTube comments. One of the guys was saying, you know, content, you can't say content's too easy if you never tried it. There's no reason to quit the game. If Wrath of the Lich King was a standalone game, if somebody released a game called WoW Wrath of the Lich King, I'd never played Vanilla, I'd never played the Burning Crusade, I would not have played it. I would not have continued to subscribe to it. I knew Blizzard could do better, so I gave them the benefit of the doubt. But the first launch of Wrath of the Lich King was awful. It was really bad. I mean, hell, look at the video I made of it. It was terrible, terrible, terrible stuff. But that's okay, that's not a problem. So it's going free to play. So if you've not tried out Star Wars The Republic and you're not sure what this leveling experience is I'm talking about, you can go and do it. When does it launch? I'm not sure. I can't read it here. Maybe it's now. I can't see it immediately offhand. Fall. August-ish. Let's take some questions. We've got 70 people in the chat. I know I started late. Any questions, my friends? Oh, wow, you've thrown... Whew. You've actually left me loads of questions. What's that? This is EA saying the ship is now fully sinking. This game is still shit. Still no rated PvP. Still bad end game. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. That is what I'm hearing. It's DC Universe all over again. Maybe. Yep. Star Wars Journeys was awesome. Preach, ain't they changing the way we attain gear, valor and justice points wise? Oh yeah, a little bit. If one of your characters caps his valor points, all your other characters get them much faster. Thumbs up from me, thumbs up from me. That's the only big change I've seen yet. That is the only big change I've seen in it, but it's a brilliant one. You get a buff, I have it on all my characters. It's something called like Valorious Achievement or something like that, and you get all your valor points much, much quicker. Where are the brofists? I didn't have time. I literally got home at 5:05 and we started the show at 5 o'clock. I raced home to get here on time. As again, I was talking to companies today trying to sort us a laptop out for Germany. I apologise for that time. So the brofist will be up tomorrow. Where the wrong thing came from is from a Dave Chappelle video. Secret World, not at the moment. I'm going to do a load of videos for you on actual raiding at the moment. Yeah, Glyph Inscription's going to be a great moneymaker in Mr. Pandaria for shoulder enchants. Shoulder enchants come from inscription only. You're going to make a lot of money. Or is it the head enchants? One of those two is only coming from inscribers. So yeah, inscription's going to be good money. Good money. What do you think you'll do after the 6-month playthrough of Mr. Pandaria? Good question. Who knows? Who knows where we'll go? Who knows where it'll lead? I honestly don't know. I'm just saying round about 6 months. I'm going to give Mr. Pandaria 6 months, but I'm pretty sure the entire aim from what Blizzard's coming out with, you've got to remember, so a lot of the people who reply, like Ghostcrawler and stuff, not only is it their opinion, it has to be the opinion of the business and what the direction of the business needs to take. Sometimes I might say something concerning Preach Gaming that maybe I personally don't think is correct, but I think it's good for business. That has to happen on occasions. Your opinion has to be influences for the greater good. If the greater journey of Mr. Pandaria, not Mr. Pandaria, but World of Warcraft is to go towards a younger audience, then your opinions of the business need to reflect that. It might not be Ghostcrawler's specific opinion or that other idiot who posts on the fucking EU forums, I forget his name, Draztol, some shit like that. It's probably not their opinion, but something that the businesses had a meeting around and said, look, we need to make sure that when we're talking to the player base, we're moving steadily towards this direction because that is the direction the game's going, and we don't want to lie. You remember, you're a spokesperson for the business. It's not his opinion or their opinion, it's Blizzard's opinion. And the Blizzard's opinion might, you know, not agree with everybody's personal opinion. That's just the way it works. So I'm going to give it 6 months, but I'm hoping that something is on the horizon. I have no issues with the job or anything like that about the YouTube channel. It'll always be fun and entertaining as much as it can be. I'm more concerned with losing a game that I fell in love with quite a few years ago. I think that'll be a sad day when I actually cancel that account and say, you know what, I've had enough. But we have to give it a good shot, you know. So I'm not quitting, obviously, now, but I'm going to give it 6 months. I would like to see whether they implement a lot of things that we've talked about. 15-man raiding, possibility. On good news, though, is I got confirmed with Method today to transfer my warrior over, so I should no longer be raiding on my warlock in Method. It was a happy day. One of the officers spoke to me today. He was like, dude, get your warrior over here. I was like, all right, good news. LFR should not be removed. No, LFR is a good thing. So many players who follow my YouTube channel come to me and say, how can I get into raiding? LFR is a really nice, gentle first step. It's just dipping your toe in the water. That's a good thing, because 5-mans will never compare to that first raid. The first raid has a fear for a lot of players. Players who aren't as confident in themselves as maybe they should be. LFR is a nice step in. You can do it as many times as you want. You're very anonymous. If you make mistakes, it doesn't really matter. The worst you're going to deal with is LFR trolls. Who gives a shit about those, right? What I would like to see is LFR move back one stage. Now, I'm calling it right here, right now. I've said that for, what, 8 months, 9 months, something like that LFR should be one tier behind. They're launching 3 different tiers of raiding very quickly in Mr. Pandaria, and then with a possible 4th coming very quickly as well. In fact, they're going to be gated off, as we talked about yesterday. I would like to see that LFR is in fact going to be one tier behind. You watch out for that one. You watch out for that. You watch out for that happening. And if it happens, you go, Preach called that shit. Fuck yeah! What do you think about Blizzard doing more Sinestra-style content, like making Deathwing only killable on a heroic, so you still have the epic feeling of exploring at least part of the instance? The problem is the bosses never really live up to that expectation. We've had a couple of instances of these bosses. The first one was Algalon. Algalon was considerably easier than the bosses before it. The only reason Algalon didn't die on day 1 is that he only had a 1 hour activation time per week. And in fact, Insidia, or were they still Nihilum then, or Insidia, was the first boss to open Algalon, and he was completely bugged in the first week. They opened him a week before everybody else and couldn't pull him. The bridge despawned. He was broken, which is really tragically sad by Blizz. The boss was broken. That was the only reason he probably didn't die in the first week. He wasn't difficult. The mechanics were very simple. If you compare that to Firefighter or even Freya 3, if you don't know what these bosses are, these were the hard modes of Ulduar. Thorim hard mode was particularly easy. Hoda was pretty easy as well. But Firefighter and Freya 3 were pretty difficult bosses. They were certainly more difficult than Algalon. And therefore, this heroic only attribute never really stands for me because it has some sort of crazy limitation on it. Sinestra was the same. Sinestra was supposed to be heroic only. Sinestra was an extremely easy fight. It was very easy. He died one of the quickest. My guild, I was raiding in a guild called Darkstorm at the time, around about World 90th I think they were at the time, and very casual with it as well. They were just a group of guys who were pretty casual and enjoyed raiding, mostly from England, and they never took it overly seriously. We killed Sinestra extremely quickly. What I did not feel that Sinestra should have been heroic only. It was a great fight. It was a decent enough fight anyway, but it wasn't overly difficult. Really wasn't. There was not much to watch. It depends if you're comfortable with being able to not rely on add-ons as well, because Sinestra was one of the first bosses in a long time where there was a really important ability, which was called Twilight Slicer, that add-ons could not detect because it gave no actual debuff on the character. You never got a debuff that said you have Twilight Slicer. It was just a graphical image. Very clever by Blizz to throw that in. For me, that was the whole heroic mechanic of it. I have never had a problem with sort of watching my own character, which is something I demonstrated last night. I don't think it's a coincidence that I got asked to move my warrior over to Twisting Nether today. I was pretty on the case. My damage was shit, but warrior damage was shit anyway on the beta testing. But I was very quick off noticing I had X debuff. In fact, I got into, not an argument, but I shouted on Vent. One of the healers was accusing me of standing in a purple goo. And the purple goo had bugged, right? So if this purple goo appears on the floor, you get a debuff that lasts a minute if you stood in it. So I instantly moved out, but the debuff bugged and stayed on me, and I was just taking immense amounts of damage. Like, Breach, get out of it. I was like, I'm not fucking in it. And I'm doing everything to get the fuck out of it. In the end, you have to jump in pools and jump back out until the debuff resets. Pain in the ass. So stuff like that, I never failed Twilight Slicer, never once. I never had an issue with it. A lot of people did, but that was the only difficult part of Sinestra. So do I think it should continue with that sort of stuff? It's nice to get something extra in Heroic, but I prefer it in the Ragnaros Fireland style, where there's an extra bit. So normal mode, he disappears at 20%, something like that. In Heroic mode, he fucking comes back and he's meaner than ever, a whole new phase. I like that. I like something different going on. Assist me. Yeah, Fray 3 was fun. Rack. Rack, yeah, but he had abilities like Rack, okay? Rack could conceivably be extremely difficult to deal with until you downloaded Rack Tracker. And it literally on your grid, if somebody needed dispelling, it turned to green or red. One of the colours anyway, if you were a dispeller. So it would go like green, they're safe. Yellow, they're going to need dispelling soon. And then the colour would change to red, dispel them. Rack dealt with. Fucking atrocious. A couple more questions and then I'm going to go. I've got somebody to meet, unfortunately. Do you think Blizz may bring the game back to what it was like in BC? No, BC was too hard. A lot of people mistook what I said. Water, so delicious. Mistook what I said with BC being the best expansion. The Burning Crusade was the best expansion. The Burning Crusade was also too difficult. It was. The boost for the majority of the playbase. This is what I tried to explain people who wrote, oh, this guy has rose-tinted goggles about vanilla, okay? He looks back on it like it was perfect. Fuck no, man. The BC had some... the BC. The Burning Crusade had... That actually works, the BC. Fuck yeah, I'm keeping it. The BC was atrocious in many ways. One, the 5-man content was far too difficult. Shattered Hall's Heroic, as much as I enjoyed it as a sort of younger, more hardcore player, I loved stupidly hard stuff, was really annoying. And I, in fact, stopped logging in a lot of the time in my free time. I actually created, and some people and my friends will know this, this is before the days of Real ID, I created new characters that only a couple of people knew about. Purely because there's a tank in the guild and getting everybody through their achievements. Once I had got sort of 20 or 30 people through their achievements for the Shattered Halls Heroic and getting them through that dungeon, because it was extremely stressful as a tank. It was fun, but 20 or 30 times, it really gets on your nerves. And people, as soon as you log in, they're like, oh, the main tank's here. Can you come and take me to Shattered Halls? I just created new characters to avoid the guild. That isn't a good sign. The pots and stuff were terrible. Really, really bad. Having to farm a tank, having to equip 8 or 9 elixirs and potions and flasks per attempt that disappear after each wipe is not fun. Sunwell was too hard. Maru was too hard. His DPS requirement was too tight. And the fight was incredibly fucking boring in the first place. The Eridar twins was also... the Eridar twins required pretty much 5 resto shamans. It's ridiculous. It's fucking stupid. No fight should require 5 resto shamans. But if you didn't have 5 shamans or 4 resto shamans and a DPS shaman, you were gonna have a bad time. Okay, you were gonna have a bad time in the Sunwell without that sort of setup. You needed 5 shamans per raid, pretty much. That's not good. The Burning Crusade had tons of faults, and its difficulty was one of them. It was too hard. And they will never go back to that. I don't want them to go back to that. It was too hard. It was a fucking grind. So, and then the Hyjal and Black Temple seemed so easy in comparison. So easy in comparison. I would like a nice middle ground. I'd be more than happy with that. I really would. From what you've seen of Miss Pandaria, is it worth it for a very casual player or kind of on the fence? I think Miss Pandaria is very good for a casual player at the moment. The only worry I have is with heroic modes, they seem to have gone a little bit towards the Diablo 3 style of Inferno settings, which is a lot of abilities can one-shot you. That is never fun. It's never fun. You want a little bit of leeway, even if it's 1 second, 1 tick. In heroic modes, there's a ton of abilities that just one-hit you. I'm keeping an eye on that one. I'm not going to make a final judgment until I try it all out properly. We've only had literally 45 to an hour's time per heroic boss. I've done pretty much all of them, minus 4 or 5 that I couldn't attend, or I wasn't in for in the first place. So, keeping an eye on that one. Keep an eye on that one. Where will the channel go? I don't know. Whatever I enjoy, I will happily make content about anything I enjoy, and that is why the channel is growing as much as it is. I don't know if you track the channel, but it's growing faster and faster again. It went through a lull at Diablo 3, as expected. I told the guys that when Diablo 3 hits, the channel's going to take a bit of a dive. Still grow, but slower. It's all coming back, and it's coming back faster than ever, so it's all in good shape. And I think most people follow my channel for, not to be egotistical, but for the style of presenting. Sure, a lot of people want individual WoW facts, but there could be any game out there where people want facts on, and any game I enjoy will get the same treatment as World of Warcraft gets, so I'm not worried about it at all. Do I think add-ons have taken the excitement away from bosses? Fuck no, man. Really not. Playing without certain add-ons on the beta realms at the moment is really annoying. There are too many abilities. Like, this is going to be the bane of a warrior's life until probably the next expansion is fucking Skull Banner, okay? This banner they've added to the game. For 10 seconds, you gain 20% increased critical strike bonus damage. We're already having to get mega macros to make sure we're lining them up every single cooldown, and they all need to be in a perfect row to line up with Bloodlust and stuff. And then the casters, it's only got a 40 or 30 yard range. The casters are complaining we put it in the wrong place. They're not getting the bonus of Skull Banner. Oh, add-ons make that so much easier, because an add-on just says, cast it now. Okay, done. Nerfs to Affliction. You should check out our YouTube channel for a decent guy in our guild called Sparkugs. Sparkugs is a very, very good warlock. The rage last night around about 2 in the morning about Affliction was ungodly. Probably the worst rage I have seen in ages, besides Shadow Priest. So Valiant Shadow Priest was pulling poor DPS, and Affliction has been nerfed so badly. It is awful. Affliction was really bad, and the Warlocks were not happy. They were not happy at all. And Sparko was really pissed off last night. Really pissed off. Okay, last question. Since Warriors are going to be nerfed into the ground, what class do you think Warriors should go to? Never reroll! Never! They will fix it. It's all good. This is why we're beta testing. This is why we say things like, hey, you know what? Warriors damage is too low. They will fix it. Stick with your class that you enjoy. It will be fine. It will be fine. It will be okay. Take my word on it. Blizzard's pretty good recently about fixing that kind of stuff. It's gone really dark in here. Yeah, I just realised how bad the green screen's gone. Oh my god. Right, I'm going to end it now, guys. Thank you for tuning in, because my green screen is growing out of my fucking back. I will see you tomorrow for a more prepared show. I'm sorry I was late. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I will be back tomorrow.